What's up, Go community? This is Scott with the Gaming Outsider, and this week, CB and I invite a member of the Hollywood Outsider podcast to come talk to us about video game movies that need to have a little bit better job done on them. Also in news, we talk Sony's PS5 event that was rescheduled, Sega's Game Gear Mini, yes, that was the big news from Sega, and also a remake of Kingdoms of Amalur. New games we discussed this week are the beta for the KartRider Drift, as well as a Switch game called Cosmic Star Heroine. The show must go on. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 298 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, June 8th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and I'm joined, as always, by my fellow co-host. First off, Chris Behrensmeyer. What's up, man?
Not much, man. How's it going?
I'm doing okay. Unfortunately, Zach is not able to be with us this week. He has taken a little bit of a vacation, so he stepped away.
Aww.
But we do have a special guest filling in for him. It gives me great pleasure to welcome to the show the award-winning host of numerous podcasts, including the Hollywood Outsider podcast, The Blacklist Exposed, Beyond Westworld, and also Zach's co-host of Smirk, my friend, Mr. Aaron Peterson. How's it going, Aaron?
Hello, hello.
Oh, my goodness. You really brought the hello?
I'm just stealing somebody else's intro.
Oh,
why not?
My goodness. That's awesome.
I think Zach's at a cabin, by the way. He's like practicing his Unabomber treatment.
Oh.
Yeah, he told us Friday that he wasn't gonna be on, and he just said, "Yeah, I'm going out camping or going into a cabin," and I was very surprised. That seemed like a very un-Zach thing to do.
It's a hidden desire of his. He likes it. He just doesn't like to talk about it. That's what I've heard.
He's just hoping Evil Dead happens.
Evil Dead for real.
He's got a book. He's just in the middle of the woods going, "Why isn't this working?"
I can see that.
Nosferatu.
Well, thanks for filling in, man. It's always great to podcast with you, and thank you for allowing me to be on a couple episodes of Smirk with you and Zach. That was quite a bit of fun. At least the second one was.
That was fun. Yeah, the second one was fun. The first one was just dark. Scott wrote a story, and it just brought nightmares to everybody that listens to it. So good job.
And then what was funny is Zach wrote a very humorous, lighthearted, whimsical tale, which was very unlike him as well. It was kind of interesting. That conversation went places I did not expect.
And we've got our 400th episode that you're coming on to the Ho. So it's like a whole lot of dual podcasts this last month.
Yeah, it's like we've done this together once or twice.
I know, right? Which reminds me, I got to start doing that format. I haven't even started that yet. Oops.
Good call. Well, like you all know, you've heard us talk about Aaron quite a bit on the show. We mention you often in terms of I was doing this with Aaron, or Aaron said this, or we, whatever. They finally get to hear your voice that don't listen to the Hollywood Outsider. So welcome,
not when
man.
you were never talking about RPGs and talking about me because I wasn't there.
Well, speaking of RPGs, Earthbound turned 25 this week. I know a game that Aaron has never played. Nope. 25 years old that Earthbound is out. I actually started it up this week just to relive some of those memories. That game is still quirky as all get out. You don't like it, Stevie? You're shaking your head.
It's just one of the most weird final boss fights I've ever seen in my life.
It is a very weird game, yeah.
Yes, it really is.
I named one of my characters after you.
I did. I'm sorry. Was that an SNES game?
Yes, it was Super Nintendo. Yep.
See, I knew that. I just didn't play it.
Came with the scratch and sniff stickers.
Yeah, it actually came packed in with a full strategy guide, like a full 8.5 by 11 book that came with it. And
what did it smell like?
I don't even remember.
It was like weird smells, like nothing that you would want to. No,
like dirt and maggots. Is that what it smelled like?
You're not far off with the dirt, because one of the scratch and sniff stickers, I believe, was like a character, one of the enemies that burrowed in the dirt, and it was supposed to smell like that or something. It was very weird.
I just remember one of my friends always saying pickles.
Pickles. I just remember, because Fuzzy Pickles was whenever you get your picture taken, there's a guy that takes your picture, and he's like, instead of saying cheese, say cheese, he says, say Fuzzy Pickles. And that's why he said.
All right, that has me interested.
Yeah, but it's one of my biggest gaming regrets, actually, is I used to be on Rotten Tomatoes video game forum, but back before we had like Facebook and all that was prevalent. I was in a community over there, and we used to do a Christmas giveaway every year, and it was always a competition to see who could out-gift the other person that they were matched up with. And that year, I gave my whoever I was matched up with a full box copy of Earthbound with the manual, and the scratch and sniff stickers were still intact. And now
I'm gonna hurt you.
Yeah, now it's worth about $800 or $900. Aaron.
Is it really? It's worth that
Yeah.
much?
Yeah, it's super hard to come by.
Yeah, it wasn't in the best of shape, so it's probably not worth that much. But at the time, it was still worth about $250 or $300.
So if I ever see it in a buddy's house, just borrow it and never give it back, kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Just the loose card alone is over $200.
Yeah. So it's weird because it was a very rare. I don't know why it was rare. It was because it had the book, and nobody really. It didn't like land very big when it hit the States because it was huge in Japan, right?
Well, the Earthbound here is actually the second or third in the series because it's the Mother series.
Yeah. And I've never played any of the others, but yeah, it's a very quirky, very weird JRPG, but it still holds a special place in my heart. The music and just the quirky lines, and you save your game by calling your dad on the phone, and he deposits money into the ATM for you. It's kind of hilarious.
I can't respect that kind of parenting.
It's a strange game, and yeah, you're right. The final boss is very weird. You defeat the final boss by using a command in one of your character's menus that is useless in the rest of the game. She has a command called Pray, and it does absolutely nothing in the regular game. But you have to use that as against the final boss, and that's the only way to defeat the final boss, which was, it was interesting at the time. But I would love to play through the whole thing and do like a break the seal with someone that's never played it, or see if it holds up nowadays. But someday I will get a box copy back again, but probably not, because it's very, very expensive. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. All right, for new trailers this week, Konami released a trailer for a game called Skeletak. I think they're calling this a stealth release. Sega's big announcement this week was a Game Gear Mini, and also something called Fog Gaming. We're getting a re-release or remaster of Kingdoms of Amalur, at least on Xbox, and they're calling it the Re-Reckoning. And then Sony decided today to reschedule their PS5 live stream event, and it is now going to be taking place on Thursday, June 11th. Some interesting things this week. Who wants to start? What story sticks out for you?
I will go ahead and hop on the Sega bandwagon.
Okay, because you've been talking about it for weeks.
Yes. Well, I was semi-right with a mini console release.
Well, you were very right on it being a mini console.
Yes.
Sure.
This thing is tiny.
It's very tiny, right? It's like finger size or something.
It's smaller than the palm of your hand.
Yeah. It's almost the same size as the Game Boy Micro.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's about the same size, but this actually, it uses cartridges as well, which I'm pretty pissed off about.
Wait, it uses so you can actually put cartridges from the original Game Gear into it?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it comes with all new proprietary cartridges, which are $50 a piece.
But it comes with two of them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's
$50
so
for 4 games per cartridge.
That's so dumb. Pass.
Yeah. The only thing that really excited me is the fact that they're doing the bundle, which is Japanese exclusive again.
Yeah, but tell them what you get when you get the bundle.
You get 5 of these things. And it's like 4 or 5 of them.
No, there's 4 of them, but you also get the little doohickey to attach to one of the Game Gears. That's a magnifying glass, so you can actually see the screen.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
What kind of niche nonsense is this?
Well, it's funny because it's a remake of the actual piece of accessory that was attached to the original Game Gear back in the 90s. Like, you attached it to the Game Gear to make the screen bigger. They made a smaller version of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
The Super Gear.
Yeah. But $50 a piece, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. So if you're a hardcore collector and you want to get all 4 of them, because here's the thing is you have to buy them to get the games, right?
Yes.
You can't just buy Or is it a cartridge? Can you buy just the cartridge?
They're basically like micro SD cards, but they're proprietary that have 4 of the games per. And I believe they're planning on releasing the majority of the library. I don't know if they're going to do it here in the States, but I know they're going to do it overseas. But I want the bundle just because it has the 4 unique colors, which we only got 2 of them in the States.
Wait a minute. You want all of them to collect them?
That collection, man. Collection.
It's just...
I really think you're going to get much value for that later down the road, because this feels so nichey.
So I thought so too, but then I looked at the price of the Game Boy Micro from when that was released to now. Mm-hmm. Those things are stupid expensive now because they did not sell well. So a lot of those tend to do that. But the other surprising thing that came out of their announcement was fog gaming.
Which seems aptly titled because it's still very unclear as to what that is. It has something to do with arcades.
Yeah, they want to use arcade machines and arcade like actual arcades as server farms for a streaming service.
So to stream arcade games. So if you can't go to the arcade, you can actually just play the arcade game from your home using the actual arcade location as the server.
Isn't that called a console?
Well, it's funny because I also mentioned to Scott that I thought that this was going to happen, where they were like, I wonder if Sega's going to do something like the Google Stadia.
Yeah, you did say Google Stadia. However,
I'm like,
you didn't. And to answer your question, Aaron, it is like a console, but arcade games are actually completely different games than console games. Like you can't play all arcade games at home. Like there are some that have been ported to console.
I understand that. I'm just saying, like, you can pretty much play anything on a console if they really wanted to. So I don't really get why would you spend. Man, hey, if you got disposable income for stuff like that, enjoy. I would rather save up and get a new Xbox or PlayStation when that comes out.
Well, so would I, but I also believe this seems targeted more for the Japanese market because arcades aren't a big thing in North America anymore.
Yeah,
right?
I'm actually kind of confused as how this is going to affect the US market because we don't have those large Sega arcades like they do in Japan.
Right.
So, I mean, the latency time is going to be insane, especially if you're facing off against somebody who's playing on the actual machine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just baffled by how all this is going to work. Who knows? Maybe Sega's going to be like, we're going to open some Sega arcades in the States, which I would be all for.
That would never make it. I'm sorry.
Well, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Legitimate question. In theory, right? In theory, could it be possible that this is a way that you could put it almost like those slot machines are in gas stations where you could put one in wherever, one unit in a location and they could play any one of like 50 games or something like that. Isn't that
in theory
possible?
Yeah. I would say so.
Yes.
I mean, that I could see a use for. I could see something to kill time while mom and dad are shopping through Walmart. Put one of those in Walmart. You know, mom and dad are running through Target. Put one of those in Target. Or your kids are running through Target and you want to get away from them, so you have something to play. You know, whatever the case is, I could see that. That would make sense to me.
You know what would actually be kind of cool too is I don't know if you've seen like the newer dartboards that they have in bars where they actually have a camera on it and you can play darts against somebody else that is playing on another machine somewhere else in the country. And they put the camera so that nobody can just go up and walk up and put the darts in the board wherever. You actually have to physically see them back up and throw the darts at the board, which it looks like they're throwing it at the camera, which is kind of cool. But you could, in theory, like play an arcade game against somebody else sitting at a machine, play against somebody else playing at another machine.
That'd be cool.
And face off against each other and see each other.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I could see that. I would actually like to see them sign a contract with somebody, like maybe like Walmart, and put a few of those machines like near the front of the stores in like one of those abandoned kiosk areas.
I like that better than putting them in where they put the arcades now, at least in our Walmart. It's like in this tiny little hallway that has like a claw machine and maybe an Area 51 type machine, and that's it. Or Buck Hunter, big Buck Hunter.
Put it next to a little bopping horse, so that way when your kid's, you know, about to give himself a concussion, you can play games.
I don't think those exist anymore, do they?
Still at Myers.
Yeah, there's still a few. Yeah, there's a few around. Put a quarter in, you watch people get, you know, delusional, and then you walk away.
I believe they've actually taken them out of Myers right now thanks to COVID.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what's going to give you COVID, not the guy coughing on you, waiting to get in the ride.
Anyway, I will not be getting a Game Gear Mini, although I kind of want one to put in the shelf next to my other mini consoles. But the thing is that the Sega Game Gear games were not good. I cannot think of a single Game Gear game that
Sonic Spinball, Sonic 2,
which I could play
the Columns games,
which I can all play better versions of them on different consoles.
But you have to remember the Game Gear at the time was basically a way to play your games portably.
I know, but
we can do that with a phone now. It's pretty cool.
I know.
I could play Sonic Spinball on my phone. That'd be awesome, actually.
And it's bigger than this thing for somehow.
It is. My phone is actually way bigger than the screen on this.
It's like 2.5 times bigger.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, Aaron, what story stood out to you here?
Well, I mean, they rescheduled their PS5 live stream again to Thursday, the 11th, which, by the time you hear this, it might already be going on. So be sure to go to the Gaming Outsider, where I'm sure they're going to be talking about it quite a bit on Facebook. I wasn't a fan of the change of date last week. I mean, I kind of understand it. I didn't like the manner in which they did it because it felt like, sure, you're making it sound like you're trying to be socially conscious, and it really just felt like we're not going to get enough attention this week, so we're going to move it, but we got to make it sound like this. I didn't like that, but the fact that they're rescheduling it so soon, that's good, because I know fans were really disappointed, so I hope people are happy. It's a new console, so people are excited. People really want to see what shiny goodness they're going to give us, and hopefully we'll get some gameplay instead of just some nice pictures. The
rumor is that we're not even going to see the console itself, that it's just going to be gameplay, which is funny because the whole thing is going to be streamed in 30 frames per second at 1080p.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So according to the press release, what we're going to be seeing on the stream is not going to be indicative of how these games will actually look on the actual PS5, which is an interesting way to sell it. If you're not going to...
And you're not going to see the console, then I like it less now.
Yeah. Well, we don't know for certain. This is just kind of the murmurings based on
scuttlebutt, as
speculation from what Sony has said, which I don't know. It seems weird. How long ago did we see the Series X? What that looks like? That was like
months
ago, right?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they've only put a date and a time and it says the future of gaming, but instead of like having a mysterious outline, it's just, oh, look, the controller again.
Yeah.
The
console reveals are always, I mean, I love that people get so excited about them. It's great, but they always kind of, okay, it looks like a PC, a smaller version of a PC. Hey, there's a controller, kind of looks like the last controller. Hey, there's a game, kind of looks like games we're playing now. All right, cool, man. That's usually what every console reveal is. Very rarely have I been blown away by one. I still want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it. I'm just still absolutely baffled by the complete redesign of their controller, because it doesn't look like any of their old ones, which they've never really changed it. So
the PS5 controller?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look...
I would say the PS4 controller was a lot different than the PS3 controller, because I couldn't stand PS3, and PS4 I love.
Oh,
it's more like Xbox.
But if you actually look at the controller overall, for the most part, it hasn't changed very much. This is a pretty radical change from the PS4 to the PS5 controller. In
terms of button placement or
just overall look and aesthetic?
It actually looks kind of like an Xbox One controller a little bit. At least the white one.
So does the PS4 though. The PS4 looks a lot like an Xbox controller. Not the button necessarily, it's all got triangles and, it's different. But right. Essentially, it's very similar in that respect. And the PS3 controller was all super light and very wide and I thought clunky, where this PS4 felt like an Xbox. Still does. I'm looking at it right now. Yep, still looks like an Xbox control.
Well, I meant just from the PS1 to the PS2, like it's always been small refinements.
I see. Okay.
And then this is just like complete radical change.
Right. Which makes me wonder what that console is going to look like, because we've seen lots of ideas thrown around out there, and
I'm still going to laugh when They're like, nope, we're just going to do it Google Stadia style. There's no console. It's all streaming.
Man, if they do that, that would be huge. But I
Would
don't
it?
think
Because how huge is Google Stadia?
that's the point.
Very small.
Yeah.
I
Didn't we
don't know.
talk about like the number that they've sold is like
Less
crazy
than 200,000.
Yeah.
I think that would be a mistake on their part. I don't think they're going to do that. But
I don't think they will either, because with the graphical fidelity that they're talking about this thing, you got to have a unit to do that.
Or, well, you got to have a hard drive.
Right.
You got to have a hard drive because you could download it, but I think streaming would be very complicated.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sony straight up said solid state drive, so we know that there is a physical console.
Right.
We know there's a controller. I mean, we know there was a controller for Stadia too, so that doesn't really help my argument, but you know what I'm saying.
I do, yeah.
My question, though, is if we're going to see mostly games, what do you think is going to be unveiled? I mean, I know we can't speculate on games that we don't know exist, but, are we going to see Resident Evil 8? Are we going to see Horizon Zero Dawn 2? What's going to come?
Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man 2.
You think already?
Quite possibly. Probably a teaser and an animated short.
That would be a great way to close out the presentation for sure.
I have a feeling it's either going to be that. Like, if they show gameplay footage, it's either going to be Spider-Man 2 or Horizon Zero Dawn 2 as their closer.
Mm-hmm.
Or another Final Fantasy remake.
Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
That's right. I could see that. I definitely do think Final Fantasy, some version of Final Fantasy will be part of the presentation.
Final Fantasy VIII Remake.
Oh, man. I would crap my pants. I would legit crap my pants. I don't know. I still think Resident Evil 8 would be a good time.
Oh, well, there's been a lot of rumors out on the wire that it's in the works.
Mm-hmm.
But
or Tomb Raider, maybe a new Tomb Raider, start a new trilogy or something. Because I mean, they've had the exclusive before, didn't they? Or no, Xbox had it. Never mind.
Well, that's the other problem is, would you do Resident Evil 8? Because that is a cross-platform game.
Right, but this doesn't mean it's going to be exclusive to PS5. It's just that they got
some DLC, or they get 30 days or 60 days exclusive or something. I could see that.
They get to unveil it alongside the PS5. I mean, that's happened before. I mean, look at the press conferences. Sometimes, who's going to unveil this new game first, and those are backdoor deals, right?
Yeah, I mean, all 6 games that Sony showed off last year.
Mm.
all six games.
Well, I mean, come on. How many did Microsoft?
50.
Well,
how many do you remember though of that 50? I can name like 2, maybe.
Yeah, the game we haven't heard of in like 9 to 12 months.
I know.
I'll never forget that. We're gonna show you so many games, and they showed them like, oh well, there's that.
Well, there was one montage that just showed like 3 seconds of several games, which, I don't expect a full presentation on each one, but
they just checked the boxes, said bases covered.
Right.
Grand Theft Auto 6.
No, that's not going to happen. That's seriously, Grand Theft Auto 6 and Elder Scrolls 6 are just, we're so far away from those games, I think, legitimately.
I bet they've been working on Grand Theft Auto 6 for quite a while. So
I'm willing to bet too, especially with a lot of the changes that have been happening to Grand Theft Auto 5 online with the devaluation of currency and everything.
Changing how the game works. Yep.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet Grand Theft Auto 6 is a lot closer than you think.
That would be another feather in their cap if they got to show that off with this console, but I doubt it. I highly doubt it.
Actually, we'll probably see some Cyberpunk 2077 footage.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Probably very true.
By the way,
and Avengers.
Did you buy that console, by the way? The special edition Cyberpunk? Oh, he's got that look on his face. No, you didn't?
No.
I had my finger hovering over the thing just because I knew that thing was going to be worth something.
I don't want to spend $500.
It was $300. That's the point. It was on sale for $300.
Well, I don't want to drop $300 on a console I'm going to use for less than 3 months.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wasn't going to use it. I was going to box it up. And
besides, I've already got that So Pretty Gears 5 one.
Yeah, you do. He's got that one with like the ice crack.
Oh, that's a cool looking one.
That's a really cool looking one.
That's a cool one.
Well, we will be talking about the reveal for sure next week, so stay tuned for that. I wanted to mention just very briefly this Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, which, by the way, do they just come up with the goofiest names for these re-releases?
Well, it was Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning.
No, I know, but it's just Re-Reckoning. It just sounds weird. This is the same publisher that gave us the remastered edition for, Red Faction Guerrilla and all. It's just weird. But I have not heard anything but positive things about this game. It's the one I've never played.
It's a great game.
I've heard nothing but great things about it. So I don't know if it's a super long RPG. I don't know if I'll finish it, but I'm just really intrigued to see what everybody's talking about.
I put a lot of time into it. The writing for that game has some serious chops. R.A. Salvatore from the Forgotten Realms series and his own Ascendance series. I've met him a couple times. The dude can write fantasy very, very well.
Okay.
So I know Nate is also a huge fan of his work. So I played the original. It played beautifully. It was actually a very big hyped game at the time. So I'm happy to see that it's finally getting its due for a remaster.
I'm really excited to see what that looks like. I may have to check it out. I just want to mention quickly this Konami game that dropped, Skeletak, which came from nowhere. Never even heard of this game, and it looks very much like a Scott Clark game, if there ever was a Scott Clark game.
Yeah.
It's actually out now. I didn't realize it until yesterday. I should have bought it so I could talk about it this week, but it's out. So
I was looking at it before we started recording.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Anyway, just want to remind everybody that we are an independently funded podcast, which means that we do pay for our podcast hosting services, website, all that on our own, which is why we have a Patreon page where fans can contribute monthly to help offset those costs of production, as well as allow us to give back to the community. So if you'd like to help us out, you can do so at patreon.com/thegocast. And all of our patrons, depending on their level, either $3 or $5, get some bonus episodes. And they've been a lot of fun. CB, what can everybody listen to?
Well, we still have our drinking game trivia where I stomped on Scott.
Spoiler alert.
Well, not really. We went back and forth. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
We also have our Retro Outsider episode of Chrono Trigger with Scott and Chad and Spencer. Upcoming episodes, I know it's already been recorded, but our games that aren't for us. Assassin's Creed edition with Spencer, Nate, and myself.
Yes, I was not on that one to defend Assassin's Creed.
Don't worry, I did you justice.
Yes, Nate apparently is not a fan.
He may be coming around. We'll see. You'll have to listen because that was a very interesting episode to talk about some of the all the different games and why he doesn't like some of them. And
yeah,
did he talk about why Assassin's Creed is no longer Assassin's Creed and instead of some new game?
We did talk about that. So and then finally we have our upcoming Break the Seal episode on Uncharted.
And those guys have played all of the Uncharted games. They went back and played through Uncharted 1, 2, 3, 4, Lost Legacy. I think Zach was even playing Golden Abyss, yeah. So
he loves those games.
Yeah. But anyway,
my co-host on the Blacklist Exposed, Troy, he's actually going through that series right now. I think he's almost done with the second one. And he's like, when he finished the first one, he's like, I don't understand. Like, what's so special about the second one? And he starts playing. He's like, oh.
Second one is still my favorite.
Oh man, it's mine too. When they introduced the cinematics, I mean, that really just takes that game to a different level.
It really does.
I really need to play those games at some point in time.
If only we were having a Break the Seal episode that you could have played it and joined in.
I know, but somebody else is actually borrowing all of my games for it.
Well, someone's borrowing my PS4 right now to play through the last one because he doesn't have one. So anyway, if you'd like to hear those episodes and more, again, the website is patreon.com/thegocast. We really do appreciate the help. With that, we're going to go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. So CB and I were talking this week about the lack of quality films based on video games. And I know we've talked about this topic in the past, but we thought we'd expand on it just a bit and pitch our own ideas about how to make good movies based on properties from our favorite hobby. And what better way to do that than by bringing on an expert in films, Mr. Aaron Peterson himself. So, Aaron, I know you and I have talked about this both on this podcast, on your podcast, and but why do you think it's been such an uphill battle to bring video game adaptations to the big screen?
Because they keep hiring talent that sucks. That would be one. That's they use the poor CGI and don't test it before they release it, and then you get the Sonic effect. I mean, there's a few. That's just jokes. Partly, I think it's fan expectations. Too many gamers want, honestly, too many aspects of the games to make it before they feel accepting of it. And if they don't accept it, they trash it. I mean, look at what happened with that bad look of Sonic. You know, you take any issue of the any aspect of the game that they're not happy with, and they will just bash it everywhere, and that sours people on it. So they're very trepidatious to remove anything that they should remove because it is a completely different form. Movies and games are a completely different form. The other thing is it's trying to compress the story into a movie because you can't take 20 hours of a game and make it a movie. You just can't. You also don't want to wander through the Old West or some post-apocalyptic setting, picking up snacks or doing side jobs to buy a horse. You don't want to do any of that nonsense. You want to watch a story unfold and you want to be engrossed in it. And that means you have to ditch a lot of the things, like I said, in games that people don't want ditched. So it's tricky to identify what's the most important part to adapt. One reason why it's easier to do a simple game like Mortal Kombat than a more complicated one like a Horizon Zero Dawn is because Mortal Kombat, it's really just fighting. You can add story to that, and you're not really affecting the gamer's version of it. Whereas if you take a more detailed RPG, it's really complicated to make that work. To shrink it.
I agree with all those points, CB.
Mostly, for me, it's just putting these titles and realms into people that have no idea on the source material or don't really care.
That was going to be one of my points as well.
It really makes me sad when you have like the true fans of a series and they hand it off to like, oh, well, Michael Bay. Well, just Michael Bay it.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. Like Michael Bay, he's got
dude
some,
makes money.
some good. Yeah, he's got some fun.
He makes the most video game movies out there that aren't actually video games.
Yeah.
But you mean like the Resident Evil series where they make a series and they completely ignore pretty much everything important in the game.
Yes, like just completely throwing 90% of the source material out and picking and choosing things that for fans of the series don't seem relevant at all. And then just like, because the Resident Evil, like the first one, it's like, oh yeah, the mansion's there. Okay, and there's zombies and zombie dogs. Okay, the rest of it, just throw it out. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my biggest thing is just if you're going to make a video game movie, put it in the hands of someone that would actually want to make this rather than just going out and finding the biggest name and having them make it.
Well, that's one of the things that's got me hopeful is the Metal Gear Solid movie. Aaron, you're going to have to remind me of the directors. I think it's something Voight. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, he's from King Kong. King Kong. Yeah.
Yeah, Skull Island.
Yep.
That is, Jordan Voight Roberts is his name. He's like such a massive Metal Gear Solid fan, and he's actually gone on record of saying that, this is going to be a movie for the fans. And that gets me excited because as goofy as Metal Gear can get, especially in some of the later games, man, those first couple games it just had some awesome moments. I'm like, this would make a great movie. And
well, can I ask you an honest question though? Legitimately an honest question. Why does that get you? I mean, he is a good director. I mean, that's King Kong's a really good movie. On the same token, I mean, every director says that. So, I mean, it's until I see something like storyboard, art, something. I mean, I get trepidatious. I get nervous because I'm like, okay, are you just making? Because that game was going to be extremely hard to adapt, extremely hard. So when you say this is going to be a game, a movie for the fans, why? I'm just asking, why does that get you excited? Because Uwe Boll would say that.
That's true. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and see what I read. I read an interview with him or something, and it wasn't just like he wasn't just saying I'm a big fan. Like he knew the characters and he knew the ins and outs of it.
That's good then. Okay.
It was like he actually played the games, and he's been a fan of the games since before he even was making movies. I would have to go do some digging to find that interview. I can't cite it exactly what he said, but the way that he said it, from what I read, what was it, like 2 years ago that they started talking about it. Yeah. That I bought it is what I'll say.
You drank the Kool-Aid.
I did. I did. But I am all about that.
There better be a cardboard box.
That kind of has to be in there at some point. I mean, just at some point. But I mean, to be fair, I also drank the Kool-Aid for Assassin's Creed.
Yes. And, so did I.
I was so disappointed. And
that movie, that was half of a really good movie, because the half where he's actually flashing back in time, which they should have just stayed there the whole time. You didn't need to do the whole as a Desmond, whatever, the modern day angle. You didn't need to do any of that. But that when they went back to those days and they're doing parkour, that was fun. It's everything else that really sucked.
I wonder if they could do it again and just do what you said, Aaron, and not even worry about the animus and just make it a different period, different actors, and then like have a little something at the end. Like someone coming out of the animus, and then you have that. But I mean,
sometimes they get it right. Like Tomb Raider did it many years later, and even though I kind of like the Angelina Jolie version because I thought she was great, but they were stupid bad movies. But the new one was they got it right. They followed the new formula and they got it right.
I still think Assassin's Creed would have made a better TV series, like almost like a quantum leap style.
Yeah,
where you're bouncing in between different time frames.
Well, could you imagine if you didn't know the story of Assassin's Creed and you watched a television show that just had the Desmond moments from the first game? You know what I'm talking about? Where he's in the room by himself and the symbols are shown up on the walls, and then there's just someone telling him to get back in the animus and do this. Like that would have been it was intriguing at the time. Unfortunately, the original Assassin's Creed was very repetitive in its gameplay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they didn't really figure that out too well until Assassin's Creed 2. But I mean, it was super intriguing. And imagine like the whole first episode of that, and then you don't even go into the animus until the very end of the first episode.
Oh, it'd be even easier. You just have like the first 5 minutes of the episode, they're back in time. They catch a glimpse of a piece of Eden. Yeah. And then it disappears. Like they run off with it, bring them out of the animus, and like start to explain like, okay, what the hell is going on?
Right.
I'd watch that.
Yeah.
That's how I would pitch that series.
And then you don't have to keep going back to it. I mean, even though I appreciated it in the games, just use that as the setup, and then the rest of it, the story is in the animus. You
have like 1 or 2 minutes at the beginning of each episode, and at the end of each episode of them out of the animus. The rest of it's in the animus.
I like it.
I do too.
We're pitching ideas already. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's go ahead and jump into it, because we've each come up with a couple ideas. I think we each have one that is a movie that currently exists and how we could do it better, and then like a fresh idea that hasn't been done. So another podcast that Aaron used to host. I don't think it exists anymore. Correct, Aaron?
Every once in a while we do like a reunion episode, but yeah, it's pretty much defunct until people start paying me or something.
Yeah, well, people keep asking for it. I know that because it's a pretty fun podcast. But that podcast is called Remake This Movie Right, which is exactly what it sounds like. So he and his guests would take a film currently in the process of being remade and make it better. So in the spirit of that idea, we've each chosen one video game related film that's already been made and make it a way that we'd want it done. So Aaron, I am very curious to hear what you came up with. What movie do you want to remake? What video game movie do you want to remake, and how are you going to do it?
Oh, so is there a chance that Wayne Henderson's going to do a remake trailer for all of these at the end? I'm just kidding.
I have not pitched him on that, but I just had work flashbacks, by the way, on your little flub.
Yeah, sorry about that. Oops. Well, yeah, the movie I want to remake. I mean, well, first I want to remake Uncharted before they do this stupid Tom Holland version, because I have no interest in that whatsoever.
You're remaking a movie that's not out yet?
Yeah, because I mean, I've heard the pitch, the idea. Nope, don't want anything to do with it. So Yeah, I'll remake that one. But besides that, okay, there's a movie that I do want to remake. And I will tell you, I actually enjoyed the movie that already came out about it.
Okay.
And I love the game, and that's Prince of Persia.
All right.
I absolutely love that game. I like that movie. I thought, minus Jake Gyllenhaal somehow being Persian. I don't quite understand how that works. But aside from that, good luck getting that casting passed today.
Right.
Which is a good thing. I should have been a Persian actor. What I would want to do is I'd want to bring in Rami Malek. I think he could be fantastic. Get James Mangold behind the camera. He did Ford versus Ferrari recently, but he also did Logan. He did The Wolverine. I mean, he's a great director. He's doing the next Indiana Jones movie too. So he can do the action. And if you saw Ford versus Ferrari, I hate racing. Like, I just don't care. It's a circle. Woo. Wow. More circles. But he made racing so exciting, like just riveting. And if he can make that exciting to me, he can make parkour and everything else that comes with Prince of Persia a lot more fantastic.
I'm intrigued because I have avoided that movie like the plague.
What, Prince of Persia?
No.
Oh, Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
Man, great movie.
No, it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's well, the driving scenes are the best of any film I've ever seen, short of Fast and Furious, where you're running down a runway.
Days of Thunder.
Oh God, really? That was well, great pull though. The fact that you pulled that out of the top of your head.
I only mentioned it because we had been talking about it recently because I still have not seen Days of Thunder, and apparently,
God,
you don't need
wrong?
to.
I'm still angry about that.
Watch this before you watch that, because Ford versus Ferrari is like good characters and a great story. Days of Thunder was, it was Tom Cruise, so you got that, I guess. But anyway, so. All right, so this goes back to my idea that simple stories work better to adapt. So the recent movie adaptation went to time travel. It used the Sands of Time storyline in those games, And honestly, that ending really just ruined the whole movie. I had a lot of fun with that movie until the very end, and it kind of retcons and takes away all the stakes that happened before it. That really bugged me, especially as a fan of Prince of Persia. So I want to strip it down, and I want to make it focus on parkour, up-close combat. A princess has been kidnapped and held hostage at the top of a tower inside a fortified castle, perhaps to control the king from his rule. And the prince, who's Rami Malek, he's got to utilize parkour and close quarters combat to rescue her. I love The Raid. If you've ever seen that, it's a fantastic close quarters. You've seen it? Yeah, yes. Chris, you love me. God, make that movie. Make Prince of Persia like that. And I am 6 to midnight. And and I want there to be like several traps, because that game, and I know I'm saying parkour when that's more Assassin's Creed, but if, as Prince of Persia evolved, Assassin's Creed stole a lot of things from it, or borrowed. And I also want there to be a lot of traps. I want there to be times where the prince is trying to outthink in between the action scenes. I want it to be kind of like Indiana Jones traps mixed with parkour and action scenes, and just him trying to get to the princess. And I just want it to be smooth and simple, like John Wick in Persia. That's what I want.
Deal. I'm in.
I'm sold. Are you going to incorporate any of the, wait, that's not how that went?
Maybe.
That was a horrible accent, by the way, but there's got to be at least like one shot of that in there, right? Where it just like he messes up one of these traps and then just goes back and rewinds time one time and then does it.
I mean, if it would make you happy, fine, we'll do it. I really didn't like that storyline at all. I really liked Prince of Persia. Simple. I know the game's fun, but I just don't like the story. That's where I think you got to know what works and what doesn't. And that to me didn't work as a movie. That portion of the story didn't work.
I'm with you. I like the idea of it being just simple. I mean, it really doesn't. When I think of Prince of Persia, I don't think of a super in-depth.
It's not
story. I mean, I haven't played all of them. It's a straightforward game. Yeah. So
I just like the Rami Malek. I'm in.
Yeah.
I love the dude.
He's a little lanky for the prince, isn't he?
What size got to do with it? He can belt out a tune on the way.
He's going to sing some Queen songs.
Yeah, why not?
No, because you think of him like being beefy because they tried to make Jake Gyllenhaal beefy.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I want sleek. I actually like lanky, because that fits, especially parkour, man. You can't be very bulky and do a lot of that stuff.
That's a good point.
I mean, you gotta be nimble.
I was about to say, I think of the scene with from the Bond trilogy and from the new Bond movies where you have like Daniel Craig, like big beefy dude, just I'm gonna plow through drywall while this other guy's parkouring.
The other guy's just like ding 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 ding, and then you go bam through a wall, bam through this, bam through that. That's all he did. Yeah. I love that.
All right, I like it. CB, what movie are you gonna remake? I hope it's not the same one I picked.
Double Dragon?
No, I did not pick Double Dragon.
Okay.
Well, at least you're remaking it because I don't like the first one.
Oh, dude, the first one was awful, but I enjoyed it at the time because I was a kid.
I was so disappointed watching the original when they finally threw a fireball. It was just like a flash of lightning, and that's it. I was so mad.
Well,
the biggest problem is the movie had absolutely nothing to do with the games at all.
I mean, was there really a story in the first? All it was the girl got kidnapped, and you're
going to what Aaron said. Simple stories. The girl gets kidnapped. Mm-hmm. You gotta go save her. Boom, done.
We don't have movies like that anymore. If you think about it,
no, we don't. And
overthought. Too much overthinking.
And it's a martial arts movie, so I'm in. I would actually have it directed by. I want to do a co-director movie with Donnie Yen and Sammo Hung. So
you want them to be the actors or the directors? The
directors.
Okay.
Just because I know they've done a lot of work with directing and choreography, so I want them to do both.
Excellent.
If I could choose old actors, I know who I would pick. If I could choose new actors, I know who I'd pick. If it was old, it'd be Bruce Lee and Benny Urquidez.
As the brothers?
So, yes.
Okay.
As the old. But if I had to go towards newer people, because
I kind of want to see a remake this with dead people. That sounds more fascinating to me.
It's just CGI them in.
Yeah.
Deep fake.
Yeah, deep fake.
Yeah, they were great for Tarantino the last time.
But if you remember the original Double Dragon, they were twin brothers.
Right.
And the only like martial arts guys that I could think of that look semi-similar are Ray Park and Jason David Frank. They both have the chops to fight.
All right.
Oh, Ray Park's amazing.
Yeah, Ray Park is really good. I've actually met Jason David Frank in real life. He's no slouch. Like, the dude can fight. His acting's just a little so you make him the silent one.
Well, just because they're twins doesn't mean they look identical. I think they called them twins because back then it was easier just to make a color swap of the character's clothes than make them look identical instead of making a whole new character.
True. So I would have them. As far as, but I wouldn't want like the 7 villains.
Okay.
Like for the 7 different stages, I want to cut it down to 2. I want a Bobo. Okay. And I would have Hafthor Bjornsson.
Say who?
The Mountain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. That works.
The only dude that would really fit that part.
That's true.
He's a big dude.
Then for Willie, like the final guy, I want Tom Hardy.
Okay. The guy, the machine gun wielding dude?
Yeah.
He'd make it fun. I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing I want from a video game movie. I want it to be fun and entertaining. Mm-hmm. And with that cast, I'd be like, yes, and especially having 2 phenomenal choreographers and martial arts directors, I think that movie would be an absolute blast.
I think you also need the soundtrack remixed as a metal soundtrack, the actual music from the original game, like Vomitron.
I think everything should be metal. You want everything to be metal,
but metal would work with
Super
Double
Mario
Dragon.
Brothers metal. Yeah.
I would say I would want it fast paced.
Yeah, techno.
It doesn't. Nah. Maybe a mix of metal, techno, just fast paced.
Right. But I want the original soundtrack. I'm talking about like those.
We'll find a way to sneak it in there somehow.
Yeah, it's got to be in there. So Double Dragon.
I would choose.
Can you get Billy Zabka to do a cameo as Johnny Lawrence? That would be great. Just like standing in the corner, because I swear those kids look just like him when they were in the game back when he was. Karate Kid came out.
Oh man, I'm thinking back to that now. You're absolutely right.
Like totally did.
The blonde one at least. Wasn't one of them? Didn't one of them have brown hair? It's been a long time since.
I think it was one blonde and one brown hair, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But I know they had the one blonde one because I was always like, that's freaking Johnny.
As for me, I am really thankful that CB did not pick mine because I'm taking the low-hanging fruit and I'm remaking Resident Evil. Because
thank God.
I know those films are very popular.
They're fun, man. They are fun, but they're not the game.
I will give you that. They are fun, but I was so disappointed watching the first one because I felt like it had almost nothing to do with the game. And I get it. It can't always be exactly the same, but one of my favorite adaptations was Silent Hill. And I feel like the reason Silent Hill worked for me as a gamer was because they made it feel like you were in the world of the game. You know, Pyramid Head looked exactly like he did in the game. When the world shifted, everything felt, even those opening scenes, if you played the first game, it just like the corridors were exactly the same, but they made it still work as a movie. It felt more like a Easter egg. Anyway, so you both kind of went with simplistic as far as plot. I'm doing very little to change the plot from the game. I want the same story from the game. I just have some minor tweaks. And I want to give you my cold open on this because I actually am like excited about this. And so the game starts with Bravo Team. We never saw Bravo Team in the original game. That was the first team that was sent to Raccoon City to find out what was going on. Mm-hmm. You know, you start the game as Alpha Team who's coming to look for them. So we actually meet Bravo Team, which is the cold open of the film. And their helicopter is actually shot down. And after it crashes, the camera pans over to the mansion. We see the Resident Evil logo appear with the umbrella logo in between the two words Resident and Evil. The camera slowly zooms in on the umbrella, which transitions to an actual umbrella. And then the camera now pans to reveal Jim Valentine walking with Chris Redfield into the Stars building, where they're about to learn of their mission to discover what happened to Bravo Team. So that's like my cold open and my artistic vision there. As far as the game itself, the events are exactly the same, not exactly the same, but very similar to the game itself. Alpha Team discovers Bravo Team's crash helicopter. They're chasing to a mansion by dogs. They take shelter there. Team is separated just like in the game. But what we're going to do is if you played the game, you know that you chose to either play as Chris or you chose to play as Claire. Not Claire. Was it
Jill.
Claire?
Jill Valentine.
Yeah. You either play as Jill or Chris. In this one, the team still splits up, but you're going back and forth between both characters. So instead of it being one story, you're seeing both stories as they both go through the mansion, discover underground laboratory separately. They, discover Umbrella's plot, and Wesker is exposed as a double agent. He's eventually, quote unquote, killed after unleashing the Tyrant. The difference I have with the Tyrant is that the Tyrant isn't actually defeated. You know, he gets shot with a rocket launcher, and he's knocked off the mansion into the woods, and the team is then rescued by Brad Vickers. So here's the thing: is that part of the story is told very succinctly. The reason Resident Evil was as long as it was because you had to solve puzzles and you had to do all these really goofy stuff like fighting a spider and fighting a giant plant and all this kind of stuff. I want that story of the mansion told in 45 minutes. Okay? And then right after that, we go directly into the second half of the movie, which takes place directly after the events of the mansion. And the Tyrant that was knocked off the building is the same Tyrant that Leon encounters in Raccoon City, and we go through Leon's story. So it's actually one movie that is telling the entire story from Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2 in one single movie.
I dig that.
Because I think a lot of that time, like I said, was taken up with just really silly stuff that didn't do much for the main story. I want Umbrella uncovered in the first 45 minutes, and then Leon's. I didn't put 3 in there because, number one, I think it's too much. And I feel like 3, as fun of a story as that was, it felt distant from the virus story a little bit.
It's a very different tone.
Where 1 and 2 just felt very like Umbrella's evil and they're doing this sinister thing and we're learning about it. But so you want to know my cast? And Aaron, sure. You'll know some of these names. I did some research.
Mila Jovovich.
No, I did not do that.
That's too bad. No. Missed opportunity.
You're going to have to help because I just went through a lot of this is looks alone, but some of them are actual performances that I want to see. Chris Redfield, played by Chad Michael Murray.
I just watched a movie with Chad Michael Murray. That's cool.
Did you? He's the guy from
One Tree Hill.
Thank you, One Tree Hill. Jill Valentine is played by Lily Collins.
And her dad can sing a theme song.
Albert Wesker, played by Vincent Cassel. I really like that pick.
Cassell? Vincent Cassell?
I'm sorry, Cassel, yes. Vincent Cassel.
Okay. From Westworld?
That's where I know him from more recently, yes.
Gotcha. Yep.
I toyed between him and Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender might be more appropriately aged, but the more I thought about it, the more I really liked Vincent Cassel.
Yeah, I like that too. Fassbender's been in so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go with Cassell as well.
Okay. Barry Burton, played by Liam Cunningham. If that name doesn't sound familiar, he was Davos in Game of Thrones.
That's cool.
Rebecca Chambers is Rooney Mara. And then Leon Kennedy, this is a no-brainer answer to me just because he looks like him, but Jensen Ackles from Supernatural.
Yeah, he's so good. He deserves something on a bigger canvas, too. He really does.
And then Claire Redfield by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I like her. That's why. I just like her.
Man,
yeah, I'm like, she doesn't look like her at all, but all right, Scott's got a crush.
I do.
I think the only one I don't really agree with is Brad Vickers.
You mean Barry Burton?
Barry Burton. I think he's too old.
Possibly to be on an alpha team. Yeah.
Yeah, he's too old.
Who would you put?
Oh God, I have to think about that for a little while.
And then,
you need a burly dude that's probably late 30s, early 40s.
Bautista?
Dave Bautista would probably fit that bill really well.
That's a big dude.
I just want to see Davos do not that accent, like an American accent.
I think he'd be really good, actually. Yeah. Be interesting. Be different.
Yeah. My director is going to be weird, but I was looking through because I wanted it to be directed by someone that's done some kind of horror, because I know it's Resident Evil, but I also wanted the character interactions to be good. I went with Jordan Peele. I like the tone of oh man,
Us.
Get Out. That's the one I was thinking of.
Get Out and Us.
Yep.
I would agree, but he's openly said he will never have a Caucasian lead actor.
Okay. Well, this is.
I agree.
Scott's movie.
I know. I love him as a horror director. You know, I will always talk about Get Out and Us. I love both of those.
Mm-hmm. So
I think he would do it justice. I just don't know if he's well rooted in the source material.
Possibly. I'm thinking more of his tone, like his.
I think he'd make it interesting. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
I mean, his tone is dark, and I love it.
Yeah. So those were the remake ones we've got. Let's talk about films that have not been made as of yet. CB, let's start with you this time. What's your you've got this look in your face like you're a little worried about it.
Well, I mean, no surprise here. I want to do Spec Ops: The Line.
Ooh, that's a really good call, actually.
It's a good story.
Because it's a short one that you could crunch down into probably 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I don't want to change really anything about the story at all. Because I think that story is phenomenal.
That surprise at the end was really good. Have you played it, Aaron?
Yeah, I have. It's a cool story.
It is.
So I mostly have a casting list, cinematographer, and a director.
All right.
Just because, first I'm going to start with cinematography. Janusz Kaminski.
Okay, you're going to have to help me out. I don't know that name.
I believe he did Saving Private Ryan.
All right.
So, director David Ayer.
You're an Ayer fan, huh?
Huh?
You're an Ayer fan?
I really love the movie Fury. I thought he did a great job. And for a high action, gritty war movie, like that was like the first thing that popped into my head.
You waiting for the Suicide Ayer cut?
No.
Just checking. More Joker.
Ugh. As far as casting, the lead male, Captain Martin Walker, Logan Marshall Green.
It's great. Upgrade. Great movie.
Yeah, I love Upgrade. I've probably watched that movie way too many times already.
Tom Hardy when you can't afford Tom Hardy.
Yes. Colonel John Conrad. I want Josh Brolin.
Nice. Can't go wrong.
John Lugo. I want Michael Pena.
Can he tell a story?
I was going to say, is he going to tell a story?
Well, he's a wisecracking dude that tells stories. So I
love that like he's become a meme where anybody that tells stories like very rapidly, they just have like 9 or 10 screenshots of him now.
Yep.
Cracks me up.
Telling the story of 2020.
Yeah, I saw that one today, actually, yeah.
And then Alfonso Adams, I want Anthony Mackie. Just because of the Hurt Locker.
Anthony Mackie's a much better... he's a good actor, but he's done a lot of the... people know him as Falcon, but he's done a lot of heavy dramatic stuff. I wish people would find. He's a good actor.
I like it, man. Aaron, what about you, man?
Well, if anybody knows me, this is no surprise. I want Gears of War, the movie. I do. Well, I still want the Uncharted. I want that done with something else. I want Bradley Cooper, and you make that movie. So there you go. I threw that out there.
So who is Dave Bautista playing in your movie?
Dave Bautista is in Gears of War.
Yeah.
And I would also I'd have The Rock. This is my dream movie. I want The Rock. I want Vin Diesel. I would actually have The Rock be Marcus Phoenix. And I would probably have Vin Diesel be Dom just because they hate each other in real life. And I think it'd be fun to make them have to be friends. And then I'd have just Dave Bautista be, I don't know.
Carmine.
Carmine. Yeah, maybe.
No, because I don't want him to die.
Or the blonde. Oh, what's the blonde one?
Baird.
Baird, thank you. Yeah, have him be Baird. And then he'd throw a freaking crappy toupee on him. But I just want the game. I don't need complicated. Just keep it just like the first game. Balls to the wall action. That's all I want. They're on a simple mission. I love men on a mission movies, especially with a bunch of meatheads that all they have to do is shoot, get from point A to point B. I think that is fun. And get bloody. Has to be rated R. Has to be rated R. Well, if you tell me it's going to be PG-13, I don't even want to go. I just don't want to go. And I want Adam Wingard to direct it. Big fan of his. He did the new King Kong versus Godzilla movie that's coming out later this year.
Can't wait.
Did The Guest. He's done a lot of things that I love.
The Guest is severely underrated.
God, I just watched that again a couple weeks ago. It's like it popped up while I was just surfing, and I was there for an hour and a half.
I need to rewatch it.
So my only question is, who's going to play Cole?
Terry Crews.
Well, yeah.
Okay. I love how that's like so like synonymous. Like everybody's like, it's got to be Terry Crews.
It's got to be Terry Crews.
Who else?
And
There's nobody else that can play that.
Woo!
Well, they both play football.
Yep. Terry Crews is fantastic, man.
And then in the closing credits, they play "Making My Way Downtown." I just want that in the closing credits.
You just want a White Chicks reference for no reason?
He does it all the time.
It's like my favorite scene in that movie with "Da-na-na-na-na-na," and I miss you. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
That's the movie I first saw him and said, that guy is a star.
I'm just my only concern with that is just because of how much they hate each other, like how long that movie would take to make. Because every day they're just gonna be like, you know what? No, I'm not working today.
Well, here, I'll break down on the inside a little bit. As somebody who's talked to a lot of actors at this point, they're all like that.
I know.
There's a lot of ego involved in that job. So you know what? You pay them enough, Chris, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
They'll work it out.
I'm just really trying to picture The Rock as Marcus Phoenix. And I'm like, oh, it's hard to get over, but I could do it.
Well, only because at this point in his career, he'd never let Vin Diesel play that role. So
I would never want, if that movie was announced and Vin Diesel was like, they're going to make him Marcus Phoenix, I'd be like, I'm out.
Or you know what? Make Dave Bautista Dom. There you go. If you want to do that, go crazy there.
I'd be all about that immediately.
I don't know if I like Rock is Marcus. I don't think he's got his voice just sounds not gravelly enough.
I don't need it to be a carbon copy. I want to be entertaining, and The Rock would be, and he could do that character. He's done that character his entire career. So
just
I mean,
big old meathead that smashes things.
It's basically Hobbs with more blood.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen it.
The Fast and the Furious movies?
You haven't seen any of the Fast and Furious movies with The Rock?
I've seen one of them.
Well, then you just lied to us.
Casts by flexing?
Yes, it was.
That's like my favorite.
Well, then
it was in the
greatness.
It was like in the trailer, wasn't it? I'm just like, that was what sold me on that movie. Like, I have to see that movie. If he just flexes and busts out this cast, it was great.
Oh, remember, you were trying to get me to see Hobbs and Shaw. Still haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Great movie. Great movie.
No,
I've seen it like
not.
Yes, it is. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times. You know what? Have fun. Have fun. Check your brain at the door.
Tell you what, I'll watch Days of Thunder when you watch Hobbs and Shaw.
Deal.
How about that?
Tomorrow.
All right, let's do it.
I'm always down to watch Days of Thunder.
Let me tell you, one of you is going to win this, and the other one's losing.
All right, so mine is actually not going to be a movie. I want mine into a TV show. And that's going to be the big change for me. And Aaron, you already mentioned it earlier in the show, but I want Horizon Zero Dawn as a TV show.
That'd be a cool show.
Again, much like with my Resident Evil remake, I want the story told in the game, but obviously not all of it, because there was a lot of side mission stuff in that game that wasn't necessary. But just Aaron, I assume you haven't played through that one because that's more of an RPG game.
No, I actually played through most of it, and then I quit at one point because it was too RPG.
But are you familiar with how it ends and like the story? I'm not going to say it here because
no,
played
I don't remember. I don't know because I stopped after about 15 hours, 15 hours, something like that.
The reveal in that game was awesome for me. When you finally realize what's going on in that game and just some of the landmarks that you come across, the way that they're described before you get there it was just cool. And I feel like a TV show would just really do that justice. And that's really all I've got is the only difference is I want it as a TV show because I think that story is there's too much to do in 2 hours. So I'm going to give you first off, I want it directed by Christopher Nolan.
Good luck.
But here's the thing. I don't know who it is. And Aaron, you're going to have to answer this for me, but whoever does this, the CG effects for the Transformers movie, I want that guy to do the dinosaurs or whatever in this.
It's a lot of guys. It's a whole lot of guys.
I was going to say, hang on. Transformers the first movie or the last one?
Well, I don't know.
Because there's a massive difference in the CGI from the first to the last.
That's a technology
still pretty
thing.
Impressive, though.
Yeah, it's still whoever does that art, that CG, and makes the Transformers look like that. I want the dinosaur creatures in this to look like that. Basically, I want them to be basically Transformers that don't transform. I know that sounds backwards, but
I'm pretty sure
basically all the Dinobots.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's ILM, Industrial Lights and Magic.
Yeah,
so
make that happen. Directed by Christopher Nolan, just because he's one of my favorites. The easy answer for Aloy to me is Rose Leslie. I know that's probably like a lot of people's pick. I like Rose Leslie a lot, and she legit looks like Aloy. I want Rose to be played by Russell Crowe, and I want Silence played by Lance Reddick.
You can't change that one.
I mean, there's no reason to change that, right?
I love Lance Reddick.
But he's so perfect in that role. And someone else mentioned Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy's going to be playing Helis for me in this movie.
All right.
Ooh.
So
I could deal with that.
If you can't get him, Logan Marshall Green's available. So.
Yep. Usually is.
All right, well, those were our picks. We're going to go ahead and talk about what our listeners said, because we asked for some answers from people over on Facebook and Twitter and Discord and all that, and we got some answers here. We're going to kind of each take one. I'll take the first one. CB, you take the second one. Aaron, you take the third one. We'll just go round circle like that. So the first one comes from Josh Stymie. He says, I'm going to go with Max Payne, but as a 2-season series that will encompass all 3 games. Season 1 will combine the first 2 games since they're close in proximity. They butchered the film so badly, save for 1 or 2 of the action scenes, that I never want to see it again. Joel Edgerton is Max, because he should be in everything. John Boyega is Alex Balder. Danny Houston is Vladimir Lem. Michael Pena is Raul Pasos. Rose Leslie as Mona Sachs. And Rhys Ifans as Mike the Cowboy. I'm sticking this close to the grit and dirty aspect of the games with that little sprinkle of dark humor throughout. Going to follow it beat for beat as much as possible. Written by Shane Black, directed by Michael Mann. What say you guys?
Michael Pena's getting a lot of love today.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Mann, I think, is past his prime, but everything else works.
All right.
For me. Except, well, you know what? Danny Houston, no, kick him to the curb. I'm sick of Danny Houston. He's the guy that ruins all my movies. Every time I see him, I'm like, bad guy, bad guy, bad guy. So he's a little typecast for me.
All right. CB?
Okay. So yeah, Sean Coates. Okay, I got one. Far Cry. I actually forgot that was a movie, by the way.
There was a Far Cry movie?
Yeah, it's You Bowl, man. You Bowl.
Oh. So I'm not going to see it, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes, folks, there already exists a Far Cry film made in 2008 by Uwe Boll, the legendary German-born Ed Wood of our time, and was based on the premise of the first game.
Isn't his name pronounced Uwe?
You know what? Call that a-hole, whatever you want to call it.
Was it bad? Absolutely, with a lot of problems. Not the least of which was filming in the forests of British Columbia and Canada, yet supposedly taking place on a tropic island. Gotta love the film tax incentives. My pitch for a new Far Cry film would be to adapt Far Cry 3, keep Michael Mando as Voss, cast any 20-something actor as Jason Brody, and perhaps it could be directed by someone like Justin Lin or James Wan, both of whom are known for directing numerous Fast and Furious films. I'm also, and while I'm here, I'd also like to pitch my idea for a Wolfenstein film.
We got
yes.
one. We got one already.
Yes.
Was it called Overlord or what was that?
Yeah,
what was it?
Overlord, man.
It was Overlord.
That was a Wolfenstein movie.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. It can be based on the New Order / New Colossus storylines, which I'd be all for. And in the style of a Nazi exploitation B movie. Yes. And as who would write and direct, I would say either Robert Rodriguez, Rob Zombie, or Eli Roth.
No, both of those guys. No. God,
Get the last
directors
two, right?
that can direct. Yeah, Robert Rodriguez. Okay, he's got some more hits than misses. But man, Rob Zombie and Eli Roth. No, I would never go watch that.
Since all three had a hand in the Grindhouse films by Rodriguez and Tarantino, I would be all for a Wolfenstein film, but I would want the exact crew from Overlord to do it. So J.J. Abrams.
That was such a good movie.
Isn't Eli Roth doing the Borderlands movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Sorry, fans.
Wah, wah.
I mean, at least you know it'll be violent, I guess, but that's about
And people
all.
will always tell me, like, why do you hate Eli Roth? I'm like, go watch his movies. Go watch it. Hostel, it's about as close as you get. Cabin Fever, is okay, but man, he's just not a good director. I love Eli Roth. I love him as, like, he is so fun to listen to. He is just super informed, and he's obviously a fan of everything he does, but man, he's not a great director.
Was he the bad guy in Inglourious Bastards? Yeah.
Yep.
I really liked Cabin Fever, but no, like when I actually saw Overlord, I immediately thought, like, this feels like Wolfenstein.
Yeah.
Same story basically.
We saw that together, didn't we, Aaron?
Yeah, it was a great movie.
And we were both sitting there like, yeah, this is Wolfenstein. Straight up, that's like Wolfenstein.
Somebody totally ripped that off. Somebody should call the makers of that game and say, we totally ripped you off.
All right, Aaron, you're up.
Oh, okay. So Brian Lewis, I would take Final Fantasy Spirits Within and make it about Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that movie was very disappointing to me. I was so excited to see that movie. I bought the soundtrack. I stared at the liner notes of that thing for forever, and that movie was... I mean, to be fair, the story was very RPG-ish in that you had 7 things that you had to collect or whatever. And
I saw it in theaters.
so did I. And I remember Steve Buscemi was in it.
All I know is when that movie rolled credits, I was like, what did I watch?
Yeah. Did you see it, Aaron?
No. Oh, no, wait. Yes, I did. It's great effects, I think. The animation
For the
great.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did look very good, but the story made no sense. No sense whatsoever. Yeah, good call. Aaron, why don't you take the next one as well? That was a short one.
No, that's okay. GamerDad 03.
Yep.
So is this the chance to make a better version of Mario Brothers? LOL. But truthfully, I am interested to, that means laugh out loud, kids. But truthfully, I am interested to hear what you think about the Resident Evil game series compared to the movies. what could have been better for those films. I think we covered that, but I will say I like the movies. They're just not the games.
Yes, I feel the same way. And as for Mario Brothers, I heard that's happening. Like a animated Mario movie is happening, isn't it?
Yeah, they're working on something.
An animated one, but I would really like them to take another crack at a live action one.
What would you do with a live action Mario Brothers to make it like for
Split
real?
Split it up. Part of the movie is live action.
So like the TV show, you have live action then a cartoon?
No, like something happens where 2 Italian plumbers are somehow transported into the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh, so it's Wizard of Oz style.
Yeah, like Wizard of Oz that.
I saw this on Betamax.
Have you ever watched the TV show? Remember the Super Mario Brothers Super Show?
I remember that.
Have you seen the infamous scene where they got away with dropping an F-bomb on an episode?
Oh, yeah.
Go look it up, Aaron. It's not like made up at all. Like they were having an argument and he had spaghetti on him. Just go Google F-U Luigi. And it's hilarious. Like it's if you're listening for it, it's very clear that it's there. But the way that they delivered it, he was trying to sell it that he wasn't swearing and just was like, "Oh, forget you, Luigi," or whatever. But it's very clear that that's what he said, and it's actually on like the DVD versions of the show, which is pretty
like
funny.
it. Yeah.
All right, CB.
CJ Moore, Assassin's Creed with Jason Statham as Desmond Miles / Altair. No.
Jason Statham?
I mean, he could do the parkour like pretty fantastic. I'm guessing CB is not a Statham fan. Is that where I'm getting?
I am a huge Statham fan. I love Transporter, the first one.
Whoa. If you're huge, why haven't you seen Hobbs and Shaw?
Thank you.
Because the Fast and the Furious movies are awful.
Oh, so you're a bad critic. All right, go ahead. I got you.
Those movies are bad.
Now, Jason Statham, I could see maybe the look and like the parkour, like you said, Aaron, but he's got to do an American accent, right?
Well, he does one, kind of.
No.
Like, you know what? I think he's a little too old for the part, honestly.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will agree. Put as much time and effort into the writing as was put into the Watanabe Crouching Tiger
Wannabe.
My brain just said Watanabe.
Ken Watanabe? What?
Watanabe?
Was put into the wannabe Crouching Tiger crap from the first movie. God, I can never say this name.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi as the main bad Templar guy. If Altair needs to have a bad A female counterpart, let it be Zoe Saldana. And of course, this would be so much better as a streaming service's original series. I could agree with that.
Yeah.
Imagine the cliffhangers and the intrigue about the Apple of Eden in both secret societies. I'm even okay with time jumps a la The Witcher, so that the story progresses and we might even jump between Desmond's ancestors. Most importantly, make the Animus look like an alien MRI machine as God intended, not some $20 carnival ride.
That's a really good way to describe that thing in the movie.
Yes. I really want an Assassin's Creed TV series.
Mm-hmm.
Like really, really badly. I think I agree with Aaron. Jason Statham is too old.
Mm-hmm.
For that role, I would want a no-name cast. Like somebody new and up and coming.
I like it.
That just because I want somebody that's not going to be tied to like so many other movies, or like, oh well, I can't do this season because I'm doing this other big movie right now.
Mm-hmm.
I want somebody that can start their career with this.
I could see that.
I mean, I've always been a fan of just new blood coming in.
It helps to if you're creating a character and you want it to be for like just be the character. It helps to have somebody that doesn't already have an established fan base.
Yeah.
Yes.
Larry Chu on Facebook also agreed with CJ about Assassin's Creed, but as a show. And David Newman said that he was also going to say Assassin's Creed. He feels like if they remade the movie, maybe someone like Ang Lee, or if you want to make it a little more comical, someone like Guy Ritchie. But I feel that would be better for an Ezio storyline.
I could agree with that.
Interesting.
That would be a down and dirty Assassin's Creed if you make Guy Ritchie do it.
Well, and then, Jason Statham, he did would fit right in at that point, right?
That's true.
If I was going to bring in Jason Statham, it would be for the Syndicate timeline and then have Guy Ritchie do it. So it's in London.
Oh, that would be cool. Now I'm interested. That's kind of cool. I like that.
Man. Now you sold me on Jason Statham, man. Congratulations.
No, because you can't understand Jason Statham in Guy Ritchie's movies. So that would be just 10 episodes of
lies.
Why do I have the caption on all the time?
You can understand him better than you could Brad Pitt.
Snatch.
That's true.
Yes, I couldn't understand Brad Pitt.
You like dogs?
No.
Oh,
the best thing is if you actually put the subtitles on for Snatch, it won't even understand what Brad Pitt is saying. They just put question marks.
It's gibberish.
It'll start the sentence and it'll just be question marks, dogs, question marks.
I love that movie, by the way. Just some of the random lines.
It's a fun movie.
The dog's dribbling on my seats. I don't know why that one stuck out to me, but it did.
Tyrone.
Anyway, that was a fun topic. Aaron, thanks so much for joining us on that. I'm glad it worked out for you to be here because that was fun.
Yeah.
And thanks for the inspiration on Remake This Movie Right.
Yeah, which
people can still go listen to those episodes, right?
Yeah. There's 60 episodes, man. We put a lot of work into those trailers, so check it out.
And
we did. We had a movie trailer every episode, man. We were pretty proud of that.
It's very, very cool. Next week, we're going to be talking about games that judge you with a grading process. Think games like Devil May Cry 5, where you get an A ranking or an S ranking or an F ranking at the end. We're going to talk about that next week. I'm intrigued to talk about that. We do
it's like being married.
Yeah.
I mowed the lawn. C-.
Thanks for the ammo because I'm going to just pound that in next week.
I'm sure you are. We do have some new Facebook members to say hello to over at facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We've got, no, we don't have any new over there. So if you'd like to join the community over there, be sure to head over there. And we also do have a new Discord member. The link for that community is in the show notes. So hello to W. Walt. And we have an iTunes review as well this week. This one comes from someone by the name of. This is Nate Wilcox. I know this guy. He wrote an iTunes review titled Amazing Content from Some Amazing People. He says, I was searching for a video game podcast for a while, and when I came across The Go, I was pleasantly surprised with a great sound quality, a solid script that makes each week familiar, but in a good way, and a crew that is friendly and relatable. Not only is the podcast great, but the community they have created for gamers on Discord is amazing as well. Nate, thanks so much for the review. We really do appreciate it. And if you're listening to the show and you like it, consider dropping over to Apple Podcasts and giving us a review as well and let us know what you think of the show. Finally, we have our website, which is thegamingoutsider.com. You can read all of our written reviews, including Chris Owen's review of Convoy, as well as everything else that we've covered. Aaron, I know you are out of time, so we're going to go ahead and let you go. Thanks so much for stopping by, man. It was great chatting with you.
Sure, man. Thanks for having me. I wish I had played more games, but I'm still like World War Z and stuff.
Yeah? You liking World War Z?
I'm a little behind, and I've been doing Gears of War. You know what? It's fun. It's Left 4 Dead. Literally, it's Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
So glad someone else likes that game.
Yeah, CB liked that game a lot more than I did.
It's fun. I just, not too long ago, found out you could customize your characters, and you can actually, there's so many things you could do. Because I'm such a, just pick it up and shoot, that we've been playing for months and months and months. And then my buddy's like, hey, you can you can actually get better weapons. And I'm like, what? I didn't know that.
I don't know how you got through that far in the game without knowing that.
Man, you'd be amazed how many games I play doing that.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, anyway, before we let you go, can you let everybody know where they can follow you and your work?
Yes, you can find me at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. Has pretty much most of everything. I'm also on Smirk with Zach Parkerson, the co-host here, and one of my co-hosts from The Hollywood Outsider as well. But go to thehollywoodoutsiders.com. There's The Blacklist Exposed and then Beyond Westworld if you watch those shows. I do Presenting Hitchcock. I do a Hitchcock movie every month. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. I need to take a break.
No.
Yeah, keep going, man.
And then Twitter at Buy Popcorn, by the way. At Buy Popcorn.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, man. I really appreciate you coming on, and thanks for letting me guest on your show as well. Looking forward to many more podcasts together. We've been doing this, 8 or 9 years now?
9. This is 9 years. 400, man. 400 is coming up in a couple weeks.
That's crazy.
400.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and, like I said, let Aaron go, and then CB and I are going to jump into the games we've actually been playing.
All right, Scott. So you've been playing a couple new games this week, which is surprising because normally it's me. So tell me about this game, KartRider Drift. I'm curious.
This is just a beta. It's not the full game, hasn't been released yet. And I got a shout out to Ryan Shipman, who hooked me up with a beta code for this one. He actually posted in our group and said, hey, I got some beta codes. Who wants one? And I said, I like Mario Kart. I'll try it. So I did. And I spent the majority of my time in this going through the training, believe it or not. This is a kart racer. Just straight up a kart racer game. If you've ever played Mario Kart, it feels very familiar and equally very different because, man, the controls in this are way more slippery than Mario Kart. It is taking me a long time to get used to the drift. You know, like you drift in Mario Kart and you gotta like waggle the joystick and do that. All that's here. You've got weapons, but I don't know. The thing about Mario Kart is very simple to pick up. Like you just learn the shells and the weapons and stuff become second nature. It's like playing Mario Kart with all new weapons that you've never experienced before, or at least they look different. So you have to learn what these symbols mean and what they do. And don't take this as a bad thing. This is a very well-made game. It's just after playing 8 different Mario Kart games and finally getting that drift to where I feel like I have it down, this makes it feel squirrely just because I'm so used to that. So understand going into it, if you're very familiar with Mario Kart, this is going to feel quite a bit different, which I don't think is a bad thing. The other interesting thing is this is a free-to-play game. So when this releases, you don't have to pay for it. It is, there's going to be some microtransactions, and there's basically daily events that you do. So you're not going to have, your play against the enemy AI and do a Grand Prix or anything like that. It's going to be daily events, and you earn experience points, and you try to level up, and you get randomly matched up with people. My first race, I took second. I was pretty proud of myself. But it's got some promise. I'm not sure I will play it a whole lot when it releases, just because I'm not a big fan of the free-to-play model. It's not a knock against the game. I just feel like it's not for me. I enjoy playing kart racer games against AI. And I know I was playing with people that were playing in a beta that haven't been playing it for 1,900 hours, like a lot of people in Japan that I play Mario Kart against have been, and I get destroyed. So I know that after a week or two of this game being released, I'm not going to stand a chance anyway. So that's me, and that's my lack of Mario Kart skills, or in this case, KartRider Drift skills. But if you do get, once it comes free to play, or if you get a beta code, check it out. It is well made. I plan on touching it a little bit more, just to play maybe with some people if I can, but I don't even know if you have the ability to do that. I don't know if you can like team up with somebody and get in the same race, but you're talking like 8 racers at one time. And it's you just feel like you just get dropped into a room. The characters look like Nintendo Mii's. Remember that?
Oh geez, yeah.
And the training is actually very in depth. Like they actually, the very first training module is accelerate from the start line to the finish line, and that's it. And then they get progressively harder, and they teach you how to use each individual weapon, how to power slide or drift. They do a deal where not only do you have weapons, but there are also counter weapons to the weapons that get fired at you. So, for instance, there's one weapon that you get that's like a UFO that flies over the character and beams them something down on top of them. Well, the counteractive weapon for that is like a bubble shield you get around you. So you have to know what the rock, paper, scissors weapon is.
Okay.
So you have to get lucky and happen to have the right one. So you could get lucky, but there's also skill involved in it. Luckily, I feel like there's no rubber banding like there is in Mario Kart, but it's a neat little game, and not in love with it, but to be honest, I wasn't in love with Mario Kart 8 either, not because of the quality of the game. It's a very great game. I've just kind of like hit my peak with Mario Kart, which sounds sacrilegious.
Not really, because, I still have love for the original, but the renditions that have come past just don't feel the same.
They don't feel the same. I think Mario Kart 8 feels fantastic. My 40-year-old self is just done playing Mario Kart. So so anything negative I say about KartRider Drift isn't. It's not that it's poorly made, or it's just I'm just kind of over the kart craze personally.
Okay.
I would rather play Mario Kart with 8 people in the same room where we can punch each other in the shoulder for blue shilling each other, or doing the drinking game version of it. But playing against random opponents that I can't talk to and trash talk to and have a good time with doesn't sound super fun. But who knows what's going to come in the final version. So again, that is KartRider Drift.
All right. So would you recommend it?
I mean, yes. If you love kart racer games, it's an easy recommend. Just kind of pay attention to what it's going to be like, how that free-to-play model is going to work.
Okay.
Because I honestly haven't been able to tell yet because none of that stuff is unlocked for me yet, unless I missed it.
All right. I also see that you've been checking out a game that's been ported to Switch, Cosmic Star Heroine.
Yes, this one actually was recommended to me by Jeff Swan. If you remember, he was a guest on our show a few months ago, I believe. He does a little podcast called Nindy Nation. He loves Nintendo games, Nintendo indie games specifically. And he was just raving about this game on Twitter, and it happened to be on sale for like $3 or $3 or $4. And he said it was very reminiscent of Chrono Trigger, which perked my ears up. And I checked it out. And yes, it's a JRPG. The sprites do remind me very much of Chrono Trigger. The battle system is interesting. You're familiar with JRPGs, like how they work, right? So this one does something kind of interesting in that your character starts out each battle at 0%. And each hit you land increases that percentage by a little bit. So your next hit, your hit points are going to be increased by that amount, if that makes sense. And then the enemies also do the same thing, which sounds like, well, what's the point then of having this percentage go up if the enemies go up as well? I don't know yet, but all I know is that each battle, my hits feel like they're not doing very much. And then by the end of the battle, I'm doing buku damage, which feels cool because you're so used to like in Chrono Trigger, you're doing like 8 or 12 hit points at the beginning of each battle. And then the end of the battle. Then by the end of the game, you're doing hundreds of points of damage. You know what I mean? So you kind of get that feeling early on, which is kind of cool. Each character has a multitude of different special abilities. It's shocking how many special abilities you have. And the way it works is there's no mana in this game. So what you do is you use it, whatever special ability you choose is now grayed out the next time your turn is up. So you can't do that ability again. Unless, you know how in JRPGs there's always a defend button?
Mm-hmm.
This one, they call it rest. And if you take a turn to rest, then those abilities are recharged again. So as long as you take one turn to do nothing, then you get all those abilities back. So that's the basic. There's some other more differences to normal JRPGs, but that is the gist of the combat, and I'm really enjoying it. The sprites are good. The dialogue is awesome. I would recommend Cosmic Star Heroine if you're a fan of JRPGs. I feel like it does enough different to the formula, and the story is really interesting, and the characters are interesting. They each have their own personalities, much like a good JRPG. So yeah, I know it's been out for like years now on other consoles, but it came to Switch, and I'm really digging it. So again, that is Cosmic Star Heroine.
Nice. I might actually, well, I would crack mine open, but it's a limited run.
Yeah, keep that sealed up. But
maybe
it's fun.
Maybe
you can borrow my Switch sometime and play it on my account. Just keep it sealed, man.
No, sealed games are meant to be opened.
Don't do it. Anyway, I saw that you made some progress on Sea of Thieves this week. Which
oh my god,
was random.
I have dove back into a couple games hard. Sea of Thieves, I recently decided to start playing it again. Chris Slossman from the community, as well as I believe David Newman and Sai Quinones and a few others actually have been playing this game for a while. I jumped back in. It plays so much better than when this game first launched.
That's good to hear because I haven't touched it since it launched.
I hadn't either. I played this for like the first couple weeks that this launched, and then I hadn't touched it since. And for some reason, like I had this like itch in the back of my brain that was just like, play this game again. And I jumped back in, and man, I've been having so much fun.
So what's different about it? Because when it first launched, I felt like it was a really cool idea, but I just didn't have a lot of drive.
Just more to do, gaining faction reps, just running around doing quests with people. I will say, if you're thinking about jumping back in this game, find a couple friends to play with, because this game is just stupid fun when you're playing with friends.
Okay.
Like you always talk about, like playing Borderlands with friends
Makes a world of difference.
Where you can kind of turn off your brain, have fun, just hang out with your buddies. That's Sea of Thieves right now. It's just, it takes all the things that I love from like Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, just sailing around being a pirate, but makes it kind of cartoony, and I could do it with friends.
Okay.
So I've been having a lot of fun doing that. Had an impromptu game night, and I think we played from 6 o'clock till 1 a.m.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really fun. Sai was pretty hilarious. We may have tormented a few people in that game that night, unfortunately.
Oh, you were the one griefing everybody else?
Oh, well, so the two guys that joined us, my buddies Chris and Greg, and then Sai, we formed a 4-man galleon, and we just chased people down, blew up their ship, and stole their stuff and turned it in as our own. We were literal pirates. It was so much fun.
It's kind of the name of the game, right?
Yeah. I think one of them actually messaged my buddy Chris and started to be like, "Man, you guys are mean." And then we left them alone for a while. So it was a lot of fun between that, and then I dove back into Fallout 76 finally.
Okay.
Started playing that. Perfect time too. They were doing the Fastnacht event.
Fastnacht? What's that?
It's a German festival. Oh. And it's a weird event, man. So there's like 8 different NPCs, which are still robot NPCs for this event. But you have to do quests, and then it starts this little parade of robots around this town, and you have to defend them. Which is it's humorous, but you can win helmets to wear, which look like old German carved wood helmets. And it's like a sun or like a toothy man. So I had fun with that. I started doing the quest lines with the human NPCs, which, as much time as I put that game in without human NPCs, to now have them there feels a little awkward.
Right. I still haven't played that game, man. I
like it. It feels like a Fallout game. It's nice now that, like, as you're walking, you'll have like a human trader, like, occasionally cross your path. And you're like, oh, look, another person is here. And I'm just curious as time goes on to see how they bring more in. So I'm excited for that. I'm having fun with it.
I'm looking forward to the Fallout 76 version 2, where they actually make a full single player experience out of this world and story, because that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just Fallout 5.
That works too. Oh my God, I would love a Fallout 5 right now. That'd be amazing.
Fallout 5 New Orleans.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Let's do it.
Or Miami.
Oh man, Miami. See, I don't think of Miami as having a lot of history, though. I mean, I'm not saying they don't have a history. I just, in terms of American Revolution, or does it have to be American Revolution?
Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man.
As for me, the only other thing I did is I did some more achievement hunting this week. This game called Strawberry Vinegar released on Xbox Live, and it was on sale for $7. So I got my 15-minute achievements on that game and barely played the game. Did you just do what I did and skip through everything?
Yep, I have 3 achievements left.
It's literally, you can change the settings in the game because it's a text-based narrative about two Japanese girls and cooking somehow. But you can actually change the text speed so that all you do is press a button,
blur,
and it just like through the everything, and then it just gives you a dialogue choice. And all you do is you can run through and get all the achievement points for like 15 minutes. It's ridiculous.
My wife walked in when I was playing this, and she's like, "What are you watching?" Because it was just a blur of text.
Yeah.
And she's like, What is going on? She's like, "How can you read that?" And I'm like, "I just know." And I'm like, started pushing buttons and achievements started popping. She's like, I don't get it. And I'm like, this is not how this game was meant to be played.
No.
And so I actually like started another playthrough of it and left the text. And she's like, "This game is so weird. Why would anyone ever want to play this?"
I don't understand.
And I was like, I don't get it either.
Was it Riot Laka?
Yeah.
They make all these super easy achievement games.
So yeah, the football one, that one was.
Oh, what was it? Game Day or?
Yeah, something weird. That story was so bizarre.
That was a weird game.
Yes, it was.
Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. CB, is good talking with you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, any parting words before we get out of here?
As always, just be good humans, man.
Please just be good humans.
Be nice to each other.
Yeah.
It really goes a long way.
Be
good karma's a thing. Yes. Man, I really want to just start finishing the show that way. Just be excellent to each other.
Yeah, I like it. Well, thanks so much to everybody out there listening. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.